I didn't get a lot of sleep that night. How could I? There were so many factors I had to mull over. If I lived with Sue, I was putting her entire family in danger. If I didn't live with Sue, I'd be breaking her heart. I wasn't even close to being strong enough to deal with the Sinister Six by myself, and if I let the pros handle it, they'd either die or simply detain the Six. There's no way I was going to let the Six get away with what they'd done. They killed my father. They killed several pro heroes. They destroyed UA, and who knows what else they were planning to do. Every time, they had been somewhat successful, and it was all because of their head, their big brain, Cyberghost. He was the one who orchestrated it. He was the one who killed my father. I was sure of it. Metal Demon wasn't quite so cruel from what I gathered when talking to the group that fought him. That settles it. I knew what I was going to say to Shigaraki. But what would I tell Sue and the others? They would not be happy if I worked with the League of Villains, no matter how I phrased it. Not even Sue would support me. I knew that. Alex-chan, are you awake? Sue suddenly asked, snapping me out of my thought process. Yeah, are you? I asked a little drowsily. She giggled, assuming I was joking, but I was actually just that tired that I ended up asking a silly question. Look, I thought about what you said earlier. I love you with all my heart, which is why it was hard for me to listen to what you were saying about not living with me. It sounded so perfect, but it would be wrong to endanger my family like that. You're right, she said to me. I kissed her head. You can still stay at the mansion, though, right? At least for a while. We won't be separated for some time. How about we have a date tomorrow, since we don't have any other things to attend to? I have an idea I think you'll like. She liked the idea of just having a date, regardless of what I had planned for us. Finally at peace, I managed to get to sleep shortly afterwards. We both woke up at the same time the next morning, rather abruptly, as we heard a series of crashing sounds and a sound I never thought I'd hear, Bakugo laughing. Knowing something must be wrong, we both got up and ran outside our bedroom door and to the top of the stairs, shouting down to see what was wrong. We hadn't thought about the fact that it was obvious we came from the same room, but who cares at this point, really? Mina was going away, so... Midoriya was getting up off the floor near the bottom of the stairs as I asked, What happened? Why is Bakugo smiling? Can't I just be happy for the sake of being happy? He asked, still chuckling to himself. Sighing, Todoroki informed us, Midoriya fell down the stairs, getting down too quickly. I stifled a laugh, and Sue poked me in the ribs discreetly. She then asked why everyone was gathered near the entrance. Mina appeared from the crowd, a bittersweet smile on her face, as she was dressed in a school uniform for a school I wasn't familiar with, but Sue was. She nodded. The Seiyai Academy. Today is the day, then. She didn't hesitate to jump over the banisters and land gracefully on the floor like a frog, before running over to Mina to glomp her. I'm going to miss you, Mina-chan, she said, as she started getting emotional. Mina's eyes were only glistening a little, as she'd likely already expended all of her tears earlier. I'll miss you too. We're going to text every day and meet up every weekend or so, okay? Everyone agreed to that, not just Sue, and after a few final goodbyes, she exited through the front door, and we all waved her off as she ran down the long driveway of the Yaoyorozu estate. Eventually, she was out of sight. Gone for now. We all instantly started missing her. A large portion of our group's energy was gone. Pony and Hagakure were going to have to pack up soon too. Ida, Togeyami, Midoriya, Shoji, Kirishima, Koda, Sato, and a large portion of the 1B students had to leave by the end of the week. It was closing in on noon by the time we'd all eaten and relaxed a little bit. There wasn't anything else to do, and I'd asked Yaoyorozu if I could use a few supplies for my date with Sue, which she agreed to without hesitation. You ready to go, Sue? I asked her, after coming back from the kitchen. She nodded and asked, What is it we're doing, anyway? I smiled and walked up to her. It's been about 7 months now, but you remember when Yaoyorozu invited us to go to a picnic, and it was there where we really first bonded? We're going there for a picnic again, but just us this time. Her eyes shimmered with excitement as she gasped. Hagakure overheard our conversation and decided to chime in. Alex, that's so romantic. Are you going to bring candles? A ring? Are you going to propose as the sun sets? She asked, kneeling on the sofa and nearly falling over the top of it. Hell no. No offense, dear. We may have been together for 7 months, but we've only been on 4 dates officially. We've hardly had the time with the hero courses. Technically speaking, we've only really been together for 3 or 4 months, and that's way too soon. Sue nodded. I agree. If he proposed, as nice as it would be, I would have to turn him down. We're not ready for it, emotionally nor financially. And we have the stress of this whole situation we're in. We could see the disappointment on Hagakuri's invisible face as she fell back onto the settee. Oh well, I guess that's true. But at least bring candles. It's windy, I simply said, as the two of us started walking away to get ready. As we were getting ready to go, I made a motion to grab my wallet, but suddenly stopped and stared at it, remembering its contents. Something wrong, Carol? Sue asked me. I snapped out of it and shook my head as I grabbed my wallet and put it in my left pocket. Just daydreaming again. You've been doing that a lot more recently. I think you should go to that counselor again. They seemed to help you before, she suggested. I can go with you if you like. I shook my head and smiled at her. Nah, I'll be fine. I need to think about a new school to attend, but I don't want to ruin our date, so I'm putting it on the back burner. Let's go. Trying to push a thought of the number Shigaraki had written down for me aside, I quickly made my way downstairs to grab the food, utensils, the mat, before putting on my shoes. Maybe it would have been better to put my shoes on first. We told Yayuruzu we were leaving, and she wished us a happy date, to which we thanked her and left, not bothering to tell anyone else. If anyone asked, she'd tell them. As it did the last time, it only took us about 10 minutes to reach the park, to where we wanted to go. I was looking around on the streets and in the park itself. Something wrong? Sue asked. It's quiet. There's not a lot of people out since the attack. I'm not the only one scared by the Six, I observed, as there were a lot less people out than normal. We made our way up to the bench and tree looking over the city. Hey, do you disagree with carving initials into a tree? Some would consider it vandalizing, Sue replied. Do you think it is? It's not like we're destroying the tree. Who cares what other people think? I said. I care. We don't want any bad impressions if someone happens to be watching. You likely have stalkers yourself, Carol. Remember, you have a fan page open. That was something I also needed to focus on, my public appearance. If someone saw me carving our initials into a tree and called it vandalizing, it could incite others to commit vandalism. People are stupid like that. I suppose you're right, I said, before going over to the rock to set out the mat and getting out the food and cutlery. We sat and ate, talking to each other just about general things, bit of gossip, bit of sentimentality, and about a few serious things. You'd probably die of boredom in old age if I tried to recount every little thing we said to each other. I'm trying to keep some semblance of a flow here, remember? After a while, I thought again about Shigaraki's number. I kept thinking about it, and it was starting to distract me. If it distracted me too much, Sue would notice, and she'd know if I lied to her. She definitely tried to talk me out of calling him. She'd even want me to turn him in. I had to make up my mind there and then. I stretched and stood up. I gotta go to the bushes real quick. Didn't you do that last night? That's unlike you. Are you okay? You don't have an infection, right? I laughed a little, knowing why she was worried. No, I haven't been for a few hours. Just a coincidence. It doesn't burn, don't worry. I waved and walked a minute into the bushes before taking out my wallet from my left pocket and shaking as I got my phone out. Slowly reaching into the wallet, I took out the piece of card and dialed in the number. Breathing shakily too, I pressed the call button and held it up to my ear. A leaf in the wind would have been embarrassed at how much I was quivering. My legs were jelly as I struggled to stand, so I leaned against a tree. So, you've come to your senses. Hello to you too, chap lips. Let's make something clear. I'm not joining you. We're working together to take the Six down, I replied. Of course. I'm assuming you're somewhere private, where you can't be heard, right? He asked, just to be safe. What do you think I am, stupid? I replied, a tad annoyed at being asked such a stupid question. Meet us at the location I've sent you using Google Maps at 7 p.m, he instructed. I'll see you there, I said before hanging up and wiping the brow on my forehead. Just listening to him and talking to him made me sweat with anxiety. 7 this evening, huh? I have to come up with an excuse pretty fast. By foot it would take me an hour to get there, and it went by UA too. There was something I needed to do at the site. It was already getting close to the time I'd have to prepare to leave, so I got back up and finished up my meal with Sue soon after. There was no way I could come up with something on the spot and convince her right there. I had to tell her later. After we packed up, we went home, with me plotting a story to tell Sue and the others to explain my absence for what could be several hours. But then it hit me. The perfect explanation. It couldn't possibly go wrong. All I had to do was a little browsing on one of Yayuruzu's spare computers, as mine was lost forever, and look up some local gyms and trainers. After I spent a few minutes faking searching for places to go, and clicking on several of the sites, I switched off the computer. I went to Sue and I told her, Sue, I found someone to train under, someone who will make me stronger. Please don't try to stop me, even if it's unnecessary. It's for my own peace of mind. I want to get stronger so I can protect you and everyone else. She closed her eyes for a few moments and breathed in and out. She must have been restraining herself from shouting at me like yesterday after I was worried that I couldn't protect her. It did sound presumptuous saying that, but I really didn't mean it that way. Very well. I suppose it wouldn't hurt for you to get a little stronger, she said, finally giving me her blessing. Yeah, and after all, there's still a few things I want to try that I don't quite have the stamina for. I winked at Sue as she sighed again. If there was someone around to hear that, I would have slapped you, she said, but couldn't help smiling a little. I gotta get down there for 7, so I gotta go now. It's a rather late training session, and I could be gone for a few hours. I'm actually not sure until I get there whether I'll be staying. I'm looking for someone who'll push me to my limits. She nodded and kissed my lips. Don't hurt yourself too much. I can't kiss things better like Recovery Girl-san. Hey, doesn't hurt to try though, right? I winked again, and this time she jabbed me in the ribs. Again. Guess this was going to be regular. I don't care if anyone didn't hear that. Don't be gross in the middle of the day. It's bad for your brain, you pervert. Go on, you don't want to be late. I just gotta go to the bathroom real quick before I go. Seriously? Are you sure there's nothing going on down there? I drank a lot, okay? I said before going for real this time. I kissed her head and made my way down, jogging away to my destination. I opened the Google Maps pin Shigaraki had sent me. It did seem like the shady part of town, alright. As I made sure to remember, I stopped by the ruins of UA first. There was police tape everywhere, but since I'd been in and out of that place so many times, I simply teleported inside. I went to our old dorms, which was still just rubble. I desperately buried through the chunks of the rock around the area my room likely would have fallen to, in the hopes of finding it. I didn't want to spend too long rummaging, as I would run out of time, but my fingers struck metal as I found it. The urn. The lid was off the urn, and the urn itself was half crushed. There were still some ashes inside it, though. I sighed to myself and closed my eyes for a moment before bringing out a small tub from my pocket. I poured the remainders of the ashes inside the tub, sealed it shut tight, and zipped it inside my pocket. With the panic of the attack and the hectic nature of the days after, I'd forgotten about my father's ashes until that day. It was that trip that strengthened my resolve. I knew I had to make the 6 pay, no matter what. I shouldn't even have to be picking up the ashes of my deceased relative. No one should. I wasn't nervous to meet the League anymore. They obviously wanted to recruit me. Shigaraki himself met up with me. And now I wanted to... No. I was going to team up with them. No matter what. I was determined now. No longer afraid. There wasn't too much longer until he allotted time to meet them at the specified location. He said it wouldn't be their base, but it looked too shady even on the map not to be it. I shrugged and continued going down towards it. A few minutes before the clock struck 7, I arrived at my destination. He had told me to knock 3 times near the slit in the door, so I did so accordingly. The slit opened to reveal a red eye surrounded by green, a man with a rather gruff voice. What's the password? There wasn't a password given by Shigaraki, so I sighed. Let me in before I rip your eye out from behind the door, you little prick. Shigaraki, from further inside, said he recognized my voice and told who I'd later learn to be Spinner to let me inside. Looking left, right, and behind me first, stepped inside. Just daydreaming again. You've been doing a lot of that more. What? Words.